Welcome to Chew the Fat. In this series, I sit down with high-performance guests over their favorite meal, and we talk about business, life, and what it takes to be at the top. This is part of my journey to raise $1 million for charity by writing a cookbook called Eat with Purpose. You can help by following the content, sharing it with your friends and family, and leaving a review. The more we do, the bigger the audience, and the greater impact we can have together. Today, we sit down with a guest called Hayden Quinn. You might know him from The Taste of Australia, but also he was on Masterchef. What I loved about Hayden was getting to understand the behind the scenes of what it takes to be on these big TV shows, but also all the different business ventures that he's part of. I hope you enjoy. Hayden Quinn, welcome to Chew the Fat.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited. It's not often you turn up to a podcast and there's a beautiful breakfast taco sitting in front of you.
That's what we're trying to do here, mate. We're trying to be unique. So today, I didn't hear back, and so I had to think on my feet, and so I made you a little brekkie taco to pay homage to the 9 a.m. start. So take a bite.
It's I'm going to have to say it's beautifully presented, and it's definitely fully loaded.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go hungry after this one, that's for sure, because it looks amazing. It's been smelling good too. Oh, beans as well.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's almost like a complete meal all in one little moment right there.
I had to get your macros too, mate. Come on.
You nailed it. We got greens, we got egg, we got protein, bacon, beans. Oh my gosh.
Hayden, where I'd love to start for the audience is, take me back to your childhood. What's the context that's made you who you are today?
Well, it's actually, I think people can probably see it at home, but self-evident. We're on the Northern Beaches today, and I'm looking out over Curl Beach. I grew up one beach over at DY, and basically my life was that beach, the ocean, the community, the surf club, the surfing fraternity. And I think a lot of who you are and where you end up is because of those, I guess, foundational people in your life as you're growing up as a kid. And I was very fortunate to have a really strong community of people that were great people. They were into health, fitness, the great outdoors, surf, ocean, and a lot of hard work around me. Mum and Dad were hard workers. My old man's on the tools still, and he's nearly 70, I think, but he'll never stop. And then Mum was the same. She worked really hard and also worked in food. So I think for me, from a very young age, it was all about being outside, being the best person you can be, working hard, training hard, having a good time, great people, good communities, and great food at home as well. Like we're sitting here at your dinner table, and it was always about sitting down, having a meal as a family at the end of the day, sharing stories, communicating, whether that be laughing, crying, yelling, screaming. We've all had those dinners, and I think that's I'd rather be doing that. I'd rather be at a dinner table where people are going nuts and screaming at each other than locked in separate rooms or sitting in front of the TV. At least there's some sort of connection. I grew up with two sisters, and they're both amazing humans. And it's funny, my younger sister, because I'm the oldest, is very much a big part of my life. She's my manager, she's my business partner, and she's also someone that if you said when I was probably from 16 to 18 years of age that she would be so important in my life, I would have laughed at you, because we didn't, well, not saying we didn't have a good relationship, but we were very different people. But that's what makes what we have in a business relationship so good, because we both have different skills and different communication methods and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, I think for me, I was very lucky to have an amazing family, an amazing community that we have here on the Northern Beaches, very active, and that sort of flows through into what I do today with, my career and my life, whether it be, working on the beach as a lifeguard, which I did for many years and I still do today because I love it so much on a casual basis, to the gym that we have, the photo studio, the food, the TV. All that stuff is sort of grounded in things that I love doing, and most of it's backed by great community, great people, and a great team.
Perfect. And that's a very full life, Hayden.
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. Help me unpack that. So you've touched on a couple of big ticket items there. Help me unpack and understand, what is it that you do today, and how do you fill up your day?
Filling up the day, every day is different for me, which is what I love. Nothing's super similar or the same. My main sort of area of work is within the food space, whether it be creating content, producing and shooting our TV show Taste of Australia, which takes up most of the time and energy because it's such a big thing. And then away from food, myself and my two mates, Lewis and Sam, we've got the Cube Gym, which is in Brookvale. And we've had that business in February. It will be 10 years in the fitness industry. So we've been very successful, which is great. And I say that because 10 years in anything means you've been very successful. It doesn't matter, what industry it is, but doing something for 10 years is pretty impressive. And doing it, I guess, in the fitness industry is huge because it can be quite transient. The fitness industry, there's a lot of fads, there's a lot of things that come and go. We sort of kicked off at a similar time to F45,
yes,
but with a completely different sort of model of fitness. And yeah, still going today. We've got an incredible team of people that work and coaches and trainers and physios and massage people and Pilates instructors and nutritionists that make our space one sort of big, complete wellness space. And an amazing community of members that some of them have been with us since day dot. And, there's new members starting every day. And it's exciting for me to walk into the gym and, see, I might see your face that I've seen for the last 10 years and say g'day. And there might be someone brand new that we get to, meet and interact with and I guess bring into our world and our community and get them excited about health and fitness, and sort of that functional health and fitness is what we go for. And then we got across the road from the gym is our studio called Studio Maybe. And that's basically a day hire studio for photography, video. We have conferences. We got a meeting room that people book out. Mainly came about in the last couple of years because I used to spend a lot of money booking other people's studios and thought, if you've got a problem that you need to solve, you're better off solving it yourself and creating that space. And we didn't really have many food studios here on the Northern Beaches. So, yeah, we went for it and created a nice big 300 square metre shooting studio for, food, fashion, video, everything. Yeah, it's a good spot.
And I can attest to the Cube Gym being a very, very good gym. I went there this week. I thought, hey, I better try this out before the podcast. And I'll put it this way. I hated every second of it while I was there.
That's good.
Which I think is usually a great sign of success. And not because everybody was lovely. The trainer was amazing. And that was probably the problem. He was so good at pushing me. And I was sweating hard. So no, it's a great gym. And talk me through, what do you have to do as a business that is, it's a saturated market being in a gym? What do you have to do differently to make it that it has been there for 10 years?
I think that's so true. You look around the Northern Beaches and Brookvale in general, obviously it's one of our industrial areas of the Northern Beaches. You could basically stand at the front gate of the gym and throw a tennis ball and hit 3 or 4 other gyms. It is highly saturated. I think for us, it was always about being genuine in what we do, using evidence-based training. So no fads, no gimmicks, none of that sort of stuff. It was all based in evidence. Having the best trainers we can possibly get a hold of, nurturing them and keeping them with us for throughout the journey, which has been huge. And then I guess just as importantly is community, having great people. And whether that be our trainers, our leadership team, or just, the people that are turning up every day, it builds a sort of a welcoming sort of feel to it. It may be hard, you may be sweating, but that the people doing it with you are there for the same reason. They're motivated, they're excited. They may have been doing it forever, they may be doing it for the first time. But it's all about the people for us, and making sure that we have a very strong no dickhead policy, which is important. And that's what I think people want that in gyms. They want to feel safe. They want to feel included. They want to feel like they're a part of a community. And that's hopefully what we sort of bring to them at the Cube. And it takes a while to sort of foster that. But we started in a backyard in Collaroy in, 2011. It's just a group of guys and girls that would train every afternoon. And we'd get to sort of winter and it'd be cold and people would drop off and it'd be muddy and wet in the backyard. And then finally in 2014, we made the move to actually find a space and sort of make the community real, and just went from there.
That's awesome. And how does the no dickhead policy work? Is that for people coming in? Has there ever been one that you've gone, you can't train here? Or...
It's funny, we've never had to like I've never gone, look, mate, you're a dickhead, you got to go. That's never been the case. I think people, if you've got that sort of bravado and that ego and that sort of machoism that sometimes doesn't fit in a gym, whether you're male or female, you feel it pretty quickly that this isn't my space, because this space is about community. It's about, you know, people feeling fit and healthy, but no one's like trying to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know, people are just normal people wanting to be able to go and have a few beers on the weekend, pick their kids up when they get older, you know, and just make sure that there's that longevity and lifestyle that they want to live here on such a beautiful part of Sydney. We also got no mirrors. So
I did notice that. I was a bit disappointed. I wasn't allowed to take my shirt off and there's no mirror.
No shirts off and no mirrors. Although in our Pilates studio, we've got a shitload of mirrors, but that's a completely different sort of ball game.
Yeah.
But we've got one mirror in the stretching area, which is sort of hidden away, which people can use. But
that's Hayden's special mirror. You go in there to do your bicep curls.
Yeah, exactly. There's a special mirror at the warm-up area, and then obviously there's a few mirrors in the bathroom. But other than that, yeah, I think that sort of helps, you know. Obviously technique, you know, you want to be able to look at yourself for technique, but we got some of the best coaches in Sydney, so you should be able to rely on them to be cueing you and making sure you're doing the right thing. And they were.
Yeah. So obviously food is a really important part of your life.
Yeah. And
for those that don't know, you were part of Masterchef, and I'm sure we'll unpack that a little bit, but I'm also sure that you've probably talked about that ad nauseum years ago. So the question I have for you is, in that childhood and that growing up phase, what was it about food that drew your soul in?
I think sort of going back to what we touched on early was the sitting around the table and that connectedness that you get through food. You know, you've cooked me an epic breakfast taco this morning, and immediately you're like, oh, you know, that's showing love. That's showing, you know, someone that you care. You know, you've cooked something that I love to eat. You know, we sort of went off that sort of feeling. And for me, food has always been about sitting down, telling stories, connecting with people, and showing love through creation and creativity. I feel like can be quite an analytical person through like business stuff, but at the same time, food is creativity, and it's those chance to show your creativity and things you're interested in and tell a bit of a story. And that sort of definitely came about from, you know, sitting at home around the dinner table. It's a time and a moment to share. And then as I got older, I spent a lot of time traveling and being overseas, and the great way to connect with people is through food. Whether you can speak the same language or not, sitting down, having a meal, and, you know, even if you're grunting and groaning and, you know, oohing and ahhing, it's still a way to connect. And
that's a universal language.
Yeah, food is a universal language, 100%. And I just really love the creativity, but also the science of it, the time it takes, and then sort of connect it into what I do now with Taste of Australia. It's understanding the growers, the producers, the providors, the makers that, you know, create the food that then hits our table and, you know, gets to feed Australian families every day. And through Taste of Australia, that's what we get to do. You know, we go and meet farmers and we hear about their story, their successes, their hardships, and, you know, where our food comes from. And I think that's really important. And one thing that I feel across Australia, and I think across the world, people are becoming more and more connected with their food and understanding where it comes from, and why sort of connecting to the farmer is so important as well.
Why is it so important?
I think just so you understand that the time and effort that goes into, you know, growing that big bit of steak, or, you know, making the chorizo, sourcing the pork, getting the spices, family recipe, all that sort of stuff is really, really important. Because, you know, when you just roll into your local supermarket and you sort of just pick things off the shelf and you do this and you do that, and you don't really understand the ingredient or where it's come from or what it is or its purpose, it sort of cuts back that part of food that I love, and that's that story. And you can then, if you go to the butcher and you say, oh mate, where's that, you know, that lamb, where'd you get it from? Oh, it's from Cowra, it's, you know, such and such, Mark grows it down there, it's amazing. You can go home and sit at the table and go, oh, this, you know, this lamb chop, it's from Mark in Cowra, and, you know, it's all grass fed, beautiful. You know, it creates a bit of a story, and you're also sharing information with people, you're educating, you're exciting them about the food. And I think one thing for me when I was growing up as well, me and Dad, we always had vegetable gardens in the backyard. And, you know, being able to grow your own tomatoes, lettuces, broccoli, cauliflower in the winter, that sort of stuff, really, it gives you an excitement about food that you may not have if you are just picking it up from the grocery store. Or even these days, you know, definitely wasn't back then, but how often is it that you get a food delivery just dropped off at the front? I know Jax is getting a delivery at my calendar went off 9 o'clock this morning. We're getting our vegetable box is arriving. So it's sort of, there is that detachment these days, especially when we do live in a big city like Sydney. But to get out and see it and feel it and understand how difficult it is to go from, a patch of dirt to a supermarket in Sydney, it's
a lot of effort. It's a lot of effort. Expanding on that, I think what's also really important there from the individual is by understanding those nuances, the time, the energy, the love, also makes you a lot more hesitant to just throw it in the bin. When you have that, we'll just, too many tomatoes or too much, I'm full of my steak, just in the bin, because a lot of that happens.
Yeah, food waste is such a big problem. And, I'm like, I guess most people, well, I hope most people are like this. I hate wasting food. And growing up, we would never waste food, but not because I think it was just something that you wanted to get the most out of your money, the value, all that sort of stuff. Plus, it is sort of a disrespectful thing as well. There's people out there that would die to be able to, eat those extra bit of tomatoes or have that little bit of steak that you just, couldn't be bothered. And that, for me, is tricky for some people because being able to use leftovers and repurpose food can be tricky and does require some creativity. But, and also there's obviously worries about food safety. You don't want to be eating, rice that's been sitting in the fridge for 2.5 weeks. You can probably get rid of that or, use it a bit sooner. That's very important. Don't go eating random things from the fridge. That's not a good idea. But it's definitely that waste. You become more connected with the importance of how much effort, goes into creating that food and putting weight on an animal or getting this green to be nice and leafy and vibrant. And if this apple's a little bit misshaped, doesn't mean that it's not going to taste amazing. It just looks a little bit weird. And that's one cool thing a lot of, the big shopping centres and supermarkets are doing. They've got these sort of ugly fruits and imperfect picks and this and that, which are getting people to understand that, even because the carrot's got a little bend in it, doesn't mean it still doesn't taste like a carrot.
We've all got a little bend in us. It's okay.
We're all a little bit crooked.
It's normal. Bring me in the mechanics of Taste Australia.
Yeah.
What does that look like for an average individual? Personally, I have no idea what it looks like to film a TV show. Yep. Kai and I like to pretend we are.
Wait, we've got a camera. We've got just as many cameras here as we do on Taste of Australia. So
well done, Kai. Well done.
Boys are on it. It's funny. It's one of those things, and it's, I guess, like most things in life, it's 90% of hard work on the computer, organising and planning, and 10% on the road doing the fun stuff. And it's probably like that for most businesses, but particularly in a creative business like this, we spend a lot of the time really planning, organising, and the majority of that sort of admin style work is getting the funding, which is, like any business, the biggest part of creating a business. And that's how we look at the TV show. It is a business. It sounds fun. It sounds amazing. But, we've got a great team. They all need to be paid. We need to make it. It needs to be distributed. So there's profits and losses and things like that. So there's a business side of it. And then there's the really fun creative on the road. We're heading out to Uluru, or we're up in North Queensland, or we're down in Victoria, or over in Western Australia, Margaret River, and down the bottom south. It's like, that's like where it's at. That's the bits that you want to be doing and the exciting part. But yeah, there's a lot of time spent in bringing the show together. And that comes down to, finding locations, finding resources, finding the funding, hitting up sponsors across the board. And then once we pull those people together, a lot of the time that will then dictate a lot of the locations we go to. So if we are working with Costa Group, who are a massive global fruit and veg supplier, we recently did a shot with them on their blueberry farm. That's completely wrong. I take that back. That's a different group. Anyway, let's say Driscoll's, which is another big global company who do berries. And we went up to Coffs Harbour because we were shooting one of their berry farms. And it's funny because we'll go shoot with Driscoll's, and in the same day, I'll go and see my friends at New Life Farm, who are also in Coffs Harbour, which is a tiny family-owned farm that's been there for over 100 years. It used to be a dairy farm. They've regenerated it into fruit and veg, and they sell small food boxes to the local community and that's how they make their living, and they produce beautiful food. And we're fortunate in that in the same day I can go and talk to a highly innovative, technological, massive global corporation producing food that we all see in our supermarkets, Driscoll's berries, strawberries, blueberries, all that sort of stuff. Everyone's eating them because they're basically the only berries you're going to be getting.
Me and my son fight over those berries all the time.
I was going to say, if you've got a young child, they're probably eating them by the handful. But then in the same day, we get to then go and tell the story of someone that is, doing really, really cool things at a small scale for their community, within their community. And a lot of people are like, oh, big corporate. But if we don't take an opportunity from a big corporate like Driscoll's, who has the money to fund a TV show, which costs a lot of money, I can't then go and tell the story of, Frank's, green sauces or something. Like, I want to be able to do that. And to do it, we go and see Driscoll's, which is awesome. And, we've done Costa. We've gone up to there. They've got like the biggest greenhouse in the Southern Hemisphere up in the New England hinterland. It's huge. It's amazing. And they've got robots and the tech and all that sort of stuff is just insane. But it's good to be able to do that contrast between, that huge sort of industrial scale farming with high technology to the ma and pa sort of growers, producers, providors, artisans, and just sort of offset it a little bit.
Juxtaposition between both.
It's a big juxtaposition. But at the same time, you go and talk to, the head grower at Driscoll's. He has just as much passion as the ma and pa that have been, farming the land for 100 years. It's still that same love for the food and the produce. And I think in a harsh environment like Australia, you can't sort of sit back or rest on your laurels when you're trying to produce food, because you never know when the next drought is, the next thunderstorm, the next hail, the next flood. It's just so much going on. So everyone's on their toes. Everyone's working so hard. And I love being able to sort of tell that story and do it in a very sort of simple way and bring into people's lounge rooms and living rooms those sort of moments that they don't get to see normally. I feel so lucky that I can go and walk on a farm and see the sheep, see the cows, look at the berries, see the apples, all that sort of stuff, see how they're grown. The normal person can't do that. One, that they don't have time. They're not in a location where it's happening. And two, it's like, if you've got swimming training, you've got school drop-off, you've got nippers, you've got debating team, all this sort of stuff going on with the kids or the family. You just don't have time to do that. But you do have time to sit down on the couch on a Sunday afternoon, 4:30, flick the TV on, and hopefully I can get someone excited about food and understand a little bit more about where their food comes from.
Tell me, what is something we wouldn't know about a large-scale corporate like that and the growing techniques or the technology? You touched on robotics. I'm intrigued. I'd love to know, what would they do that people would be like, oh, wow.
One of the big ones, which I've seen a couple of times, and every time it baffles me, but your tomatoes, so like your vine-ripened tomatoes, they're not like, in the backyard you grow a tomato and you can make it like, it's pretty big. You're like, oh my God, this is a big tomato bush. It's amazing. In those greenhouses, those tomatoes grow for like nearly 12 months and they can end up to being like 30 meters long. And they just like wind the vines around and around. So they grow and they just sort of wind them.
Yes.
And the stalk just keeps going and going. And it's like, we're 2 stories. It's almost as big as the 2 stories here. And these tomatoes keep going.
So all the tomatoes are just flying right to the ground pretty much.
Yeah,
wow.
It's an amazing setup. And the technology that they use within, say, like a greenhouse like that, everything is like precisely monitored. So every one of those vines will have a probe in it that knows how much water's in there. It's not soil. It's like mainly a coconut husk sort of style medium that they use to grow in. And they'll have a probe in there. It'll know all the nutrients, all the water, and it can individually like pump in different.
It's all automated too.
Yeah, it's all automated. So it knows. And then the roof will, if it gets too hot, the roof will open automatically. The fan will come on. The shade cloth will go over, and it's all automated. And we're up there. So this big ass greenhouse is New England hinterland. We're there in winter. It was like 5 degrees outside. You step into the greenhouse and it's like 28 degrees. It's like a beautiful day like we've got today. And you're like, oh my God, this is the best place in the world to walk. And then you go outside and you've got to put a beanie on and a hat. I don't think it's as good in the summer because it's pretty warm, but everything's sort of vented and stuff then. But yeah, it's amazing to see. And then they've got, once the picking's basically taking place 24 hours because in those conditions they can grow and grow and grow. And they have these sort of like little R2-D2 sort of like train things that pull the big rows of buckets with tomatoes in them, and they follow tracks on the ground, and there's someone with them, but it's basically robotic, automated. It just knows where it's going, and it goes into the shed, and then it gets packed, and it's amazing.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. And then you go down to the road to see Daz at New Life, and he's in the ground pulling it out with his hands with a little hoe or a picket that people have been doing for thousands of years. It's just amazing to see the different way things can be grown. And when we look at food production, if we want to feed this country, if we want to feed the world, it's that scale is sort of needed. It's scary, but it's like, what can we do?
Well, it's less scary than everybody's being starving.
Yes, yes, exactly right.
When I hear that story and I think about the learning lessons you get to have being in those big scale businesses, although different, are there any things that you've learned that you've gone and implemented in your businesses?
I think one of the biggest thing, and it's probably not so much the gym is one that can take it, because it's probably the biggest business that I'm a part of. Like the Hayden Quinn stuff is big, but the gym has a lot more people, a lot more moving parts. There's a lot more elements to it. And the one thing that when you go to a big corporate and something that's got a lot of moving parts, like a greenhouse, is the systems and the practices and the policies that they have in place. Like everything is very regimented. Everyone knows their position. Everyone knows how a certain day runs. And one thing we always try to do, and we continue to strive to do with the gym, is to have those systems, those policies and those practices in place, so that if we do get a new team member, they can slot in pretty seamlessly into a role, and that it's all laid out, and you can give them the sort of Bible and say, this is how we do it here, and this is what it's about, and this is who we are. Because those big corporate and big industrial sort of setups is pretty amazing, the number of people that it employs in a community, but just how it works as a workforce is super impressive.
Yeah. Now I'm imagining a couple of R2-D2s around the gym. Keep working, Sally. That Taste Australia piece, like all businesses, you've got the admin that you're doing prior, which makes everything well-oiled.
Yep.
But then we got the reality.
Yep.
Take me to a moment of chaos, maybe out in Uluru or wherever it is, that all that planning hasn't gone quite to plan.
Uluru, that's actually a good one, because Uluru was really tricky because, one, it was about 46 degrees, so it was fucking hot.
Celsius for all their international friends.
Yeah, it was hot. It was really, really hot. Obviously, it's quite remote. Granted, there's a lot of infrastructure there because it's a big tourism destination. We drove there from Sydney.
How many hours?
Via Brisbane. It was like 3 or 4 days.
Wow.
So we went up to Brisbane and then across and then along the Plenty Highway, which was the stupidest thing we did. That's sort of a whole nother adventure. But if anyone's driven the Plenty Highway, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like 6 hours of straight dirt corrugated road, and it's just like you're doing like 110 on this dirt corrugations, just hoping a tire's not going to blow out. We did lose one tire, but we got it changed and we were back on the road. If you are going on the Plenty, take plenty of tires and plenty of fuel and plenty of water. That's three hot tips. We had all of both, which was good. But yeah, so that, for example, so on the road, the biggest battle we have is obviously time and light. We're shooting a TV show. You need light. You can't really shoot in the dark. It looks cool and sexy at times, but when we're shooting food, we need, today's a perfect day. There's a little bit of cloud. Everything looks nice and soft. It looks amazing. At Uluru, it was really hot. The sun, because it was at that time of year, the sun dropped really, really quickly. So we lost light really fast. We weren't allowed to use any sort of fire because of the fire bans and the different controls within the national park. Totally get it. I picked the completely wrong dish to cook. I cooked a steak tartare, like with Australian native ingredients. Tasted amazing. Would have been incredible if we were cooking it here in your kitchen with the air conditioning on. But at 46 degrees, Uluru, about 5,000 flies in the air. It was not good. So that was the worst part, was the flies. We had to then go back and take out all these flies.
In the video?
Post-production, which cost us a shitload of money and was painstaking for the editor and the team. because we got most of them out, but there's still, you watch it back today, you can still see a lot of flies. I was presenting, and like when you present and you talk, you breathe in a lot to fill your lungs so you then can talk out. And I sucked a fly, I think, straight into my bronchi, and I could feel it there for like a month afterwards. And I was just choking. Everyone's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm dying on a fly here. And I'm just trying to get the fly out. That didn't help. And then we finished the dish and the sun's setting and we're trying to get this magic shot. The sun doesn't set over Uluru, it sets the other side. So we're trying to get this beautiful shot with Uluru like lighting up as the sun drops and it's dropping really quick. We're trying to get the cameras in position, trying to get the final words and the eating shots. That's always the hardest part. It sounds trivial, but fighting the light in a cooking scene when you don't have like $1 million budget where you can pump light and change the elements is really, really tricky. And my best mate, Tim, who's my DOP and a guy I went to school at, we were talking about St. Augustine's earlier, from year 5 at St. Augustine's, we're best mates and he works with us and he does an incredible job. You know, he's a single operator, 3 cameras, working his ass off and he makes the show look beautiful and he works very well under pressure. Thank you, Tim. And all the other shooters as well. So thanks to you two boys. But I thought I'd give Manson a shout out. But that's always a tricky one, is just time. Like I said, we don't have huge budgets on the show. We can't luxuriate and say, today's not a good day, we'll shoot it tomorrow. We just don't have the time, we don't have the budget, so we've just got to be on and ready to go, basically at all times. It'd be nice to sort of have lots of money to make a show, but I feel like the way we do it is quite dynamic, it's quite nimble. We can change and be a bit flexible if we need to. There's only 6 of us in the team. So me, Ashton, who's the director and co-producer and co-owner with me, Tim, who I mentioned, sound, Chris, who does the sound, JB or Toby on the camera, on the stills, and then either Tim, Breeder or Meg, who helped me with the food.
Awesome.
Mainly Tim, because he then flies a drone as well. So everyone's it's funny when you're on like a traveling road show, it's a bit like being on a cruise ship or a ship. You've got to have more than one skill to sort of justify being around. Everyone sort of pitches in and helps out and can sort of do everything. So yeah, it's good.
Contextualize this for the audience today. So they may not be looking to create a cooking show, but what they will be doing is potentially starting a business. Yep. And often we find the same issues around raising money and raising funds. How do you go about that? What's your process?
That's a good question. With the TV show, we basically self-funded for the first series, and we wanted to get a proof of concept in the market. And I think a lot of people do that. You know, if I said to you, Frank, I've got this idea, mate. It's amazing. It's this, and this. I haven't got it yet. I haven't come up with any ideas. I don't have any plans. I don't have a business plan. I can't show you a picture, but can I have 5 million? You'd be like, no. Not going to happen. So what we did, we self-funded. We got our first series out on the air, and then off the back of that, we, then recouped some of the money off the start to then show proof of concept. This is what we do. This is what we're about. This is the idea. These are the stories we can tell. Do you want to be a part of it? And then we go out to our network and said, jump on board. Let's go. There were some early partners that, I'd had long-term relationships with that were happy to jump on board straight away because they knew, if you went and did something new tomorrow, you'd have people that'd be like, yep, you can execute. We're on. Let's go. Doesn't matter. They don't need to see a picture. They don't need to see a plan. They trust you as an individual. So I was fortunate like that. But yeah, it was about having that proof of concept, that really rock solid plan, and then the backing of, we've been backed by Channel 10, which is great, having the show on air, and they were more than happy to get us on air and put us out there, which really, really was, awesome to be able to have a great spot Saturday, Sunday afternoon, that sort of perfect time when people are sitting on the couch. We're never going to get a prime time, 7:30 p.m. slot. That's, Masterchef and things like that are going to be on there. But we're very happy with where we're at the time, and being able to sort of grow our sort of time slot as well has really been helpful with partners, so you can show that growth over the years. And yeah, it's been a good ride. It's still hard though.
all the best things are. And what's the value proposition when you're going to raise? Is it a continual fundraising process for you, for people to buy? Are they buying an equity? Like, give me some of those mechanics.
Yeah, so with the TV show, they're basically buying, we do it by sort of segments, or episodes. You know, you can buy a whole episode where we cover your story, and we also then feed in, we can't just do, I keep using Driscoll's as an example, but we can't just do 22 minutes of TV, me walking around a berry farm, because people are going to get over that pretty quickly. Yeah. But what we can do is do a great segment at the berry farm. Then we can do another segment where I'm, go down to Coffs Harbour and goes for a surf. And then another segment where I meet Daz, one of the local sort of farmers doing cool stuff. Then I come back and we're using the berries again, and it's sort of topped and tailed.
Yes.
You get the start, you get the end, because the idea of the show is I meet all these people along the way, I collect ingredients, and I go, I've got a good idea. I'm going to use this berry and this citrus and this and this to make this. And we sort of tail it up with a recipe. People can buy a whole episode, they can buy a segment. We've had a lot of success in the past with tourism bodies, so whether they be regional tourism bodies, state tourism bodies, or Tourism Australia, they come on board and they can basically take out a whole series. Destination New South Wales was one of our really big partners during the pandemic, and super grateful for the work we did with them, because we basically couldn't leave New South Wales. People couldn't leave New South Wales either, but there was times where they could do stuff within their own city. So we actually did a New South Wales edition statewide, which was really, really cool, because that's my home state, and it was great to showcase that. And then we also did a Sydney special where we just were in Sydney for 10 episodes, and we showcased. It was quite different to what we normally do with Taste of Australia. We weren't necessarily jumping on farms or this or that, but we were punching around sort of inner city and Sydney, and sort of just to the outskirts of Sydney, showcasing people doing really cool things with food, whether they be like urban growers or little bars or producers, people making bread, all sorts of different stuff. So having relationships like that is really valuable, and sort of being able to sort of leverage those connections and highlight a region has been a big win for us as well. Our goal is to eventually be able to do an overseas series. Cool. Yeah. We've been talking with New Zealand a fair bit, Japan. I'd love to do one in California. That would be a dream, to go sort of either from the Mexican border all the way up, or from the north to the south, sort of showcasing all the different food options along the way, and different culture. And, a bit like Australia, when you're going such a big distance, the landscape and the horticulture is going to change so much. But yeah, that's sort of a bit of a way how it works. Yeah.
Nice. And you mentioned there around your goal for Taste. What's the goals for you? Extrapolate out, we're 20 years from today. Mm-hmm. What's Hayden's life look like?
What's Hayden's life look like? It's funny, I think of, and these are basic things. This is sort of very TV specific, but I would love to have done 10 series of Taste of Australia. Mm-hmm. We've halfway through 7 already. Mm-hmm. So in that time frame, maybe it's going to be more like 20 series, hopefully.
Set your bar very low there.
Yeah, but I've always wanted to do a 10 full series, which is 100 episodes, which is like 220 minutes of TV, which would be a massive goal. One of my sort of food heroes, and someone who I look up to, who I don't have any sort of personal connection to, I've met once before, is Rick Stein, who does amazing food television. It's so interesting. It's so detailed. He's such a great speaker. He describes food so well. He's such an interesting character. And then I look at, again, someone like, again, totally off the other side of things, but someone like Andrew Eddinghausen, who's had a fishing TV show that's sat, on the network for 20 years now probably, and done hundreds of episodes of TV. It sounds like simple goals, but doing stuff like that is really fulfilling and really, really fun. And we've got a great team of people. So I'd love to be able to continue just making these great little episodes about Australia and food, hopefully a little bit of international, and just developing that sort of Taste of Australia brand further. And then from there, I just, the gym, hopefully that's just kicking along nicely. We'll have to have re-signed our lease because we only had a 15-year lease by then. But that shouldn't be a problem. I don't think they're going to kick us out. We pay too much money. And then same with the studio, just everything just going from strength to strength. I'm very happy with all the businesses that we have so far. And I don't want to I keep telling my wife that if anything comes up or anyone comes with an opportunity or asks for investment or wants me to be a part of a business, I'm not allowed to say yes anymore because there's too many things going on. We also do Hard Fizz, which is the alcohol brand, which I'm involved with. So hopefully by then we've sold that and made some money, which would be very nice. And yeah, just still living on the Northern Beaches and being fit and healthy and happy. I think that's the biggest goal is, 20 years from now, I'm 37. I'll be getting hopefully retired by then. And just enjoying, living where we live and looking back and hopefully helping people along the way in their journey to create, what they want to do with their lives.
Perfect. Love it. Well, it feels like a logical conclusion here, Hayden. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
No, so good. Good to chat. Sometimes I feel a little bit obnoxious talking about myself, but it is also good.
Well, it'd be much more obnoxious if I was talking about myself and you're my guest, so you're good.
I feel like it does help you. These podcasts, they do help you think, and it's sort of like almost like a brand refresh and a sort of a reflection on who you are and where you're at, and then you can come away and go, oh, actually, okay, maybe I need to focus on this. Yeah. It's good. Thank you.
No, my pleasure. Well, that's interesting you say that, because part of me and Kai's journey is we're going to actually start this as therapy session and invoice our audience.
Fair enough. How much is it? It's quite expensive, especially for a good hour or so. Probably $300 right there, boys. You're right.